While all eyes are on Finance Minister Tito Mbowene's special emergency budget this afternoon, the Cape Town-based Youth Capital campaign is calling on the minister to include measures to promote youth employment. But to discuss this, let's bring in project leader, that's Crystal Duncan-Williams, to talk more about this. Crystal, good morning and thank you for your time. Now, you say that the minister needs to consider youth employment and how, of course, he plans to address this come his budget address later on today. Give us some of the top, sort of like pointers on the agenda that you think rather he should prioritize.
Thanks so much. We know, obviously, with the StatsSA data coming out yesterday, that youth unemployment was bad in Q1, which is before COVID really hit. And so we predict that it will get far, far worse in the coming months. And while we understand that the money is tight and the economy is going to shrink as a result of the pandemic, I think our hope is that the existing money that has been set aside for interventions such as the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention and things like EPWP work, SETA funding, the employment tax incentive, that these existing incentives, that money will not be redirected away from these mechanisms, because we believe that if these mechanisms were used a bit more effectively, they could really unlock existing opportunities for young people, even in the current tough economic times that the country finds itself in.
Yeah, and because of the stats that we've seen about youth, or rather unemployment in general, and then obviously the youth being affected, it does paint a picture that they've also been part of the group that's been hardest hit by not only COVID-19, but by also the lockdown. Paint me a picture, perhaps from the evidence that you've gathered, on how hard hit young people in South Africa have been.
We know that before COVID-19, very few people were in formal employment, but a recent study by UNICEF and the University of Cape Town shows that a survey of around 5,000 young people is conducted over Facebook, shows that many young people are in piece jobs, which we know, piece jobs, side jobs, the scurril, the hustle, whatever young people call these little sideline informal work that they get. Many young people are making some income from those kinds of jobs. And when asked in the survey how they think that this kind of work would be affected, half of them expected that they would lose this income. So even the tiny bit of informal work young people had has been lost. Secondly, in the formal sector, we know that the retail industry, tourism and hospitality are huge employers of low-level entry jobs, which are often the jobs that young people use as a stepping stone into the job market. We know that Edcon has retrenched thousands of workers. We know that the hospitality and tourism industry has been hard hit. And so we can even see in the formal sector that young people will again be hardest hit by the pandemic. Added to this, young people struggle to look for work without access to data, with transport being very expensive, and now with them having even less funds due to losing their informal work, we think looking for work will become even harder for young people. And this is why we believe that the existing government interventions really need to be pushed more strongly and more effectively to support young people as they transition out of places of study and into the world of work.
Yeah, and Crystal, what about youth-owned businesses? I mean, if we're looking at the effects of COVID-19 and the pandemic in general, as well as the lockdown, and how it's affected, big corporations and conglomerates, these spanning decades and decades of lifespan. What about some of those youth-owned businesses that have suffered even during this lockdown?
We know that youth-owned businesses, small businesses, are very sensitive to shocks, and the COVID pandemic is one of the biggest shocks the economy's had. And so, again, in the same study, there were actually very few youth who did the study who were self-employed or had their own business. But again, most of them expected that their business would be affected. And interestingly, many of them didn't apply for the government bailouts. And we'd be interested to understand why young people didn't apply. From chatting to young people in our network, I think a lot of them struggled with the application process. There was errors with the application process, and so young people have not accessed that bailout money to kind of save their business. And so even those who are self-employed, we do imagine that they will probably lose that business, or if they don't, there's going to be a time where they aren't earning any income from that business. And again, youth-led businesses were always the most vulnerable before COVID-19, and so now as we kind of move our way through the pandemic and into whatever the future holds, we really need to support these young business owners.
Unfortunately, then, with that being said, I mean, the finance minister also reiterated that the economy had already been ailing before the pandemic, before the lockdown. So it's almost like, you know, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place as government, where they've been making means to save the economy. But at the same time, this shock pandemic that we speak of now has also just put matters into its worst state. Now, should we expect those numbers, and as far as youth unemployment is concerned, to continue rising, given, you know, some of the realities around the ailing economy?
Absolutely. I mean, if we look at the Stats SA data, we just look at the number of young people not in education, employment or training, and we compare it to Q1 of 2019, that has also gone up by 1 percentage point. So in 2019, that percent was at 40.7, and in 2020, now we're sitting at 41.7. And again, this is before the effects of lockdown. So that number was increasing anyway. And at Youth Capital, what we're saying is we have an action plan for change. The things we raise in there, things like the costs of job seeking, the barriers young people face trying to enter the job market, not making use of existing government incentives in the most optimum way. Those are problems before COVID-19, and now that COVID-19 has hit, it's put a magnifying glass on those problems. And we're saying, as we reimagine what life looks like post-lockdown, it gives us an opportunity to be innovative. It gives us an opportunity to rethink through some of these things. And we have to get creative because, as we say, the economy is the way it is, and globally it is the way it is. So we've got to figure out ways to get creative. And one way to do that is to really involve young people and to stop speaking at them and involve them in decisions, hear from them, find out what they think are the solutions that could really work to shift gears for unemployment for the youth of South Africa.
Well, thank you for speaking to us. Crystal Duncan-Williams, Youth Capital Project Leader, talking to us there about the importance for the Finance Minister to include some of the strategies around how they plan to assist the young people in South Africa.